The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, was at Chatham House in London on Monday to speak about his presidential ambition ahead of the 2023 elections. The United Kingdom's institution tagged the event as Nigeria's 2023 elections, a vision for policy change and institutional reforms. Obi spoke on his plans for policy and governance reforms in Nigeria, including security and economy. Joining us now is the Labour Party's spokesperson, Nana Kazaure, to give an overview of her principal's Chatham House address. Good afternoon and welcome to Newsday. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Well, can you just give us a brief overview of Peter Obi's speech at Chatham House, and how well do you think it resonated with listeners?
Oh, wow. It resonated very, very strongly with listeners. He did amazing. Chatham House, they even said it to us. They are very, very particular about their timing. And because of the number of people who were viewing online, they decided, participating online, they gave us extra time. That's how engaging, that's how interesting, that's how swimmingly well Chatham House went yesterday. I was very, very proud to know that with such support, with such passion that His Excellency Peter Obi exhibited yesterday, it just made me proud. I was proud of my green passport.
Well, it was reported that over 60,000 virtual audience members tuned in. It seems like the Obedience were using all their data yesterday. Criticism is that it might not translate to votes at polling booths, as the PVC collections are still underway, and we know that there has been some issues with that. But I do want to deviate and talk about some of his talking points. He did give a 10-point agenda, and if you could maybe go through which made the most impact in your opinion, especially since he was speaking on insecurity and other very important issues facing the country.
He touched on so many important things. One thing that he spoke about that really resonated with me is how he intends to include the youth. He said it many times. He was like, the youth, 60% of Nigerian youth are unemployed, and there's another 40% unemployment, but then the youth demography is huge. And that's why he always talks about consumption to production, because young people in their productive years are unable to get work. They're unable to put food on the table, and that's why they've become so restive, and that's why they've decided that they want to be part of the process that brings in and ushers in a new Nigeria that's ready to be birthed. With Peter Obi being the person at the helm, the one person that we've decided that, we want him to. He spoke on health, he spoke on security. When he was talking about health, there was something that he said. He said, because His Excellency Peter Obi is somebody who is very, very particular about health and education. They go hand in glove. He has always said it that we've underinvested in those two sectors, and that's part of the reason why we are where we are today. So it's something that they intend to invest in, reduce the cost of governance, and that those monies, he even said it that when your family and friends are not part of government, when you reduce the cost of governance, those monies can now be injected into the health sector, into sectors such as the health sector, the educational sector. He talked about public-private partnerships for tertiary institutions. It was one of the questions that was asked. And he said basic education would be free. So many things he talked about. Even when he talked about the North, he mentioned very, very clearly that there are a lot of northern youth who are educated, maybe not in the English way, but in Arabic, and they're highly intelligent. So he's focused on ensuring that these young people get the opportunity to learn a skill, get the opportunity to become vast with computer technology. That's somebody who is progressive. That's somebody who is who's very, very he's big on inclusion of women, inclusion of the youth, because that's the way the world has to go. Peter Obi spoke about dialoguing with people who are agitating. He said it very, very clearly. Please, let's not get it wrong. He said it clearly that he does not he condemns agitation, especially when it goes into criminality. But it is also people's fundamental human rights to agitate. Critics would say, "Oh, he was being very." When he mentioned that even in his house there's agitation. But you see, that's the beauty of His Excellency Peter Obi. He just deconstructs all these big words and he makes it. It becomes simple. It becomes
Nana,
relatable.
please just allow me
Yes,
to interrupt you and ask a follow-up question. Talking about those that are agitating, some people are also worried that it was a bit silent on the victims, of some of these agitation groups, those who have been killed, those who have been kidnapped. Will there be justice for them as well?
Two things I'm going to mention here. His Excellency Peter Obi is not silent. Christmas Day, some people were at home warm. He was in Benue State with IDPs. Are they not the reasons we have internally displaced people is because of the cases of insecurity. So it's unfair for anybody to say that he's unfeeling or uncaring. He's done much more than even the government has done. On the 1st of January, he was with IDPs in Abuja. So no. He's not that sort of person. The second thing I want to mention is that he always talks about compassion and love. His vice presidential candidate is someone that says it's time for us to stop the bleeding and start the healing. These are all the things that they say. If you know these two men very well and you follow the trajectory of their political careers in Nigeria, you will understand that they are people who respect the rule of law. So just because he has always said it, as long as you are not criminal, he will sit and dialogue. And that's the place where Nigeria has to be right now. We have to sit at the table. We have to hear each other out. I always say that Nigerians are so used to a dictatorship that when we talk about dialogue, when His Excellency Peter Obi talks about dialogue, when the Labour Party talks about dialogue, people become squirmish. But you see, that's the way that's the only way we can progress. When you look at even our homes, when things get to a head, sometimes you just need to pare it back and say, you know what, let's talk about it. You yourselves, I'm talking with you here to give you clarity. So dialogue will give clarity. Dialogue will help us know which way
very well said.
Going.
Very well said.
Much.
Apologies for the interruption, but thank you so much for joining us and for joining this conversation this afternoon,
Thank
Doctor.
you for having me.
That is Nana Kazaure, the Labour Party spokesperson. Thank you.